all last week, leading up to your appearance here, I was thinking, what am I going to ask Van Jones? Is there a topical news story that could be relevant? And I use the internet and television, so I keep up with different stories, and I was racking my brain. Then I tweeted about it. I was just looking for something. But it's only funny because it's not, obviously. The White House doesn't want to say it, and the media, most people in the media don't want to say it, so I'll say it. You were targeted because you're black, because you're progressive, and because you lived a life full of work that was creative and experimental at times, which made it easier to smear you and lie about you. And we're not here today to only focus on the past, but your experience, Ms. Sherrod's experience, and as Rachel Maddow put it so well this week, the experience that will continue to repeat as long as we allow it to work. What can you tell us about what people can do to fight back? And what can the media do, in your view, having lived through this in a way that very few people actually have to suffer through? What can the media do to actually put facts first?
Well, you know, first of all, I think we have to recognize that we are in a new world. And so people will criticize the White House or criticize NAACP or criticize different news outlets. We've never been here before. You remember, 2006 was the first election that YouTube impacted with the Macaca incident and George Allen. So we're in a world where we've taken away our immune system, the old filters, the old gatekeepers, the old Walter Cronkites. We've banished them, but we don't have new ones. And so we're in a situation where we're without antibodies. And so the information system has taken a huge leap forward, but the wisdom system has not, right? The wisdom system is not. And so you can get any data you want to about anybody at any time and do anything that you want to with it, and people are now engineering viruses and pumping them into the body politic. But we don't have the antibodies yet. And it will be a long process. There will be, what will eventually will happen, big picture, is that 5% of the country will have had an experience like mine, lost a job because of something on Facebook or whatever. Then it'll be 10%, and then it'll be 15%, and then it will stop. Because enough people will have seen it and enough people had it happen to them or a friend that there will be a completely different level of wisdom that emerges in the culture and in the society. That's the long-term view. So you can have confidence in your country. You can have confidence that we will adapt as a culture to these changes in the technology. In the short term, it will be tougher because there are financial incentives to be more shrill, to be more sensational, because there are more outlets. The people who scream the loudest can be rewarded in the short term. Many of you are suffering from this as well. You don't have as many Twitter followers as you want because you're too honest, and you're not willing to put out the sensational digital breadcrumbs to try to get people to come to you. What I think I would say about the overall situation, though, is that this is a learning moment. And you're right, I had a much more colorful life than Ms. Sherrod. I mean, let's be honest, I was distinguishable as a radical leftist in the Bay Area when I was young, okay? So,
That's sort of like being a dork at Netroots Nation.
Exactly. I mean, you gotta get up early. You gotta work weekends to be distinguishable as a leftist, as a young guy in the Bay Area. So, so sure, it's easy then to grab stuff and to make people think that I'm somebody who's scary. This woman is like Rosa Parks, okay? Like, this woman is as pure as a driven snow, and she got slimed. And so, to be clear, people learn quicker. Luckily, people could find the full audio, which wasn't as easily available in my case, that kind of stuff. And the thing turned around fast. So we have a happy ending. So we have, you are the storytellers. And the way that cultures learn and grow and mature and evolve is based on stories. And so telling this story and telling it the right way with the right heroes and the right villains and with redemption for everybody, because even, Ben Jealous, who's I think probably the most promising leader in America right now, made a mistake but had the courage to correct it. That's an important part of this story. So this will be a teachable moment for us going forward. And this is harder than it looks. having spent 6 months in the White House, it's a very different perspective to kind of be watching this sort of gladiator combat going on and saying, geez, I wish they would do this, I wish they would do that, why don't they say this, why don't they say that? It's totally different experience when you're sitting there and the missiles are coming over the horizon at you, at your coworkers, at your colleagues, at your own plans. And so psychologically, people forget, I quit. Like, I resigned. I did not want to be a continued distraction. I didn't want to be the banana peel that the President of the United States slipped on trying to win on health care. So you got a President of the United States trying to get doctors to babies. And he needs to be talking about America's future, not trying to explain every detail about my colorful past. So I resigned. A lot of people were mad at me for doing that. I resigned. What, in the actual moment, when you're actually in the fight, the short-term policy perils are all-consuming. You're there to achieve something, and somebody's trying to stop you from achieving it. And so you sometimes think, well, if I throw myself overboard or somebody, then it'll make it easier to deal with that. We're only just now as a society beginning to see in this new environment that you can sometimes secure those policy victories, but you corrupt the political culture if you don't get there the right way. That's a learning process. And so what I would say about it is continue to be tough on this problem, continue to call for more courage. But most of you are fighters who get to pick your fights. Like, that's how I was, and that's how I am again. I get to wake up in the morning, now, it's the morning. What fight do I want to engage in? Do I want to fight for the victims of the Gulf spill? Do I want to fight for kids in prison? What fight do I want to get into? And then I think to myself, I'm such a tough guy because I'm a fighter, you know. I'm in there fighting all the time. It's how you guys are. We're activists. We speak truth to power, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's walking onto your front step. Nobody's walking into your yard and starting the fight. That's a very different experience. And so I want you to be tough on this problem, but also to have some sympathy for people who are still learning how to deal with a much more toxic and difficult media environment than we've seen before.
Let's switch over to climate change. And
sure, something easy.
Enough about right-wing distortion.
Exactly.
Let's talk about global warming.
Exactly. Jesus, why did I come to this conference?
But everyone knows the news, and Senator Kerry is out today saying he really means it. He thinks he has a shot at moving this somehow in a lame duck session of Congress. Most people, even who share those objectives, don't feel that that is realistic. You gave us, some great overarching vision. Where do you come down on the nuts and bolts of that? Do you think the lame duck option is at all viable? What do you see ahead, and what do you want people to do?
Sure, three things. First of all, John Kerry is a hero, and I feel that he has been mistreated by his own party since the 2004 election. John Kerry has always been willing to go first where it's hard. He went to Vietnam when he didn't have to before a lot of people. That makes him a hero. He came back and told the truth about it first when a lot of people didn't want him to, and that makes him a bigger hero. And then in 2004, he was the first to go up against this horrible machine and took, I can't cry about what I went through. Look what he went through. But took a sledgehammer to it as best he could and created the possibility for 2006, 2008, and has been given no respect, as far as I'm concerned, by most of us. So John Kerry is a hero, and he continues to be a hero.